to Roar Healing Stories. I'm your host, Ellen Line. Just a few announcements before we get started. Firstly, I'm going to be facilitating 2 workshops at Anahata's Purpose. Anahata's Purpose is a soulful wellness and music retreat that's taking place in Darlington, Maryland from October 16th to 19th. Anahata's Purpose is for you if you are on a healing journey and you like a little bit of woo or a little bit of witchiness to go along with you. It's for you if you're looking for a community of folks who are also on healing and growth journeys, or it's for you if you just want to get away from the everyday for a little while and have fun in the woods and do things like archery and yoga and painting and lots of really interesting workshops. The workshop schedule is live now, so you can take a look at what you could learn or the kinds of experiences you could have at the website, which is linked in the description below. I'd love to see you there. And then secondly, this is part 2 of a conversation that I had with Logan. The first part is already available wherever you're listening. And it does give some context for and background for the work that Logan describes doing in this episode. So if you haven't listened to part 1 yet, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to it now. And I'm going to link it in the description to make that easy. And with that, let's dive in.
There are no bad parts. The parts of you that are causing trouble that you're going to go out and speak to, you're looking to heal them, but also you're looking to bring them back to their valuable natural states where they have a job to do within yourself. And it's a double whammy of they're doing this thing that causes you harm, but also they're not doing the thing that makes you better. They're not fulfilling the role that they need to be. So that would have been maybe a hard thing to convince myself was objectively true before trying it, but I decided to just go into it with that idea in mind and see how that affected it.
Yeah.
So I did. I found interview questions. I saw lots of stuff about hey, yeah, you can talk to your protectors, but probably don't talk to your exiles by yourself. It's okay, I'll start with that. We'll see how that goes. That's nice to have a warning. Reading an Aleister Crowley book, it was don't read the Latin out loud. You will summon a thing from the other side. Okay, I'll be careful. And so I got my interview questions, and I went to a little cafe on a weekend morning, and I started asking myself the questions. I was I'm going to focus on let's try something light. Let's try something that won't get too out of hand. How about this feeling that I want to be writing and creative during my weekend here, but I'm not doing it. Something's blocking. Let's talk about that. I'm sure that'll be a light and airy conversation. That's not some sort of deep-seated tragedy from my past or anything like that. I'm sure it'll be totally neutral and basically fine. It wasn't. It was a lot.
Spoiler alert.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it was something in terms of the biggest hangups of my entire life. I do think it was ultimately manageable in size, if not small, and it was very important to me at the same time. So I do think starting with something like that was good. For me anyway. So this was my process. I had my interview questions. I focused on the feeling that I wanted to address. Basically, the feeling had more to say than just being an emotion or finding being a physical place in your body. There were words there, and in the case of IFS, a whole sort of person. So focusing in on that and focusing. So the guide I followed here said, focus on that feeling, identify it to yourself. This is a feeling that I ought to be writing something right now, but I can't bring myself to do it. And then say to yourself, and I didn't do this out loud, but honestly, I think it might be useful for a lot of people if they did.
Mm-hmm.
If they felt comfortable doing it. I was in a coffee shop and would have felt weird. But I essentially had this conversation with myself, closed my eyes, said, I want to talk to the part of me that blocks me when I am trying to write. And just kind of have that invitation, which again comes back to sounding like something that you would say at the beginning of a seance or something. It's like, we invite the spirit into our presence.
Yeah.
And as sort of as dramatic in a lot of ways, when I first did this, I wasn't necessarily expecting anything to happen. The stuff that I had read emphasized, don't like try to imagine the answer. Fully ask and then be quiet and see if something responds. Which is so not. I mean, even I don't think that's all that normal for anyone to do, especially not me with my raging ADHD. To just like ask a question to the void and then shut up about it. It not come all that naturally.
Yeah.
But I did. I asked the question, and then I felt legitimately like there was something aside from my directly conscious mind that answered that sort of summons. I asked who that person was to let them introduce themselves, and also sort of concentrated on seeing them, which was also them introducing themselves in my mind. They're like, sort of like, give yourself an appearance, a name, a voice, like make yourself. Or at least translate yourself into a person so that we can talk person to person.
Yeah.
And so I identified this feeling, asked it to identify itself, and I got a very vivid image, which as creative as I am, I'm not all that visual a thinker or creator. It was weird how instantly it came to me.
Wow.
After asking. I got the image of a suave and mustachioed gentleman sitting in a burgundy leather chair in sort of like a fancy schmancy social club kind of setting, the big bookshelf behind him, wearing like a smoking jacket, a little pipe. Just very fancy and official and distinguished. And he very clearly identified himself as the critic.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense that you'd be the one behind it. Sure, let's talk about that. And my instinct was to be like, all right, you son of a bitch, let's have a chat. But I restrained myself because the guides that I was following had a list of questions to ask. So I decided to ask them in that order and try to understand the wisdom of the order specifically. I'm glad that I did, because there is a lot of wisdom behind it. I started off. Actually, this is a very important step. Right before that, the way I do this is I imagine like kind of like an Inside Out, that control panel where the parts of yourself are controlling your body.
Yeah.
And I essentially, once I've identified the part, I think, how do I feel towards this part? And according to the wisdom in this book, the way that your core self should feel about your parts is curious, sympathetic, empathetic, non-judgmental, all these great and wise qualities.
Yeah.
It's a really lovely thought in this book that there exists this very wise part within all of us. That is another thing that came from experience and not assumption. That was really interesting to read about, because this Dr. Schwartz kept finding this sort of entity in different patients. No matter what else was going on in them, this core wise being. It's really lovely to think about.
Yeah.
And if you are thinking about how you feel about this part that you've just identified, and you get emotions other than that,
Mhm.
like I got anger right away. Like,
Mhm.
okay, if I'm feeling anger towards this part, then according
Mhm.
to this set of instructions, I that is a different part,
Mhm.
which has its own stuff going on, and is probably not someone I want to talk to right at this moment, but
Mhm.
important for the future to be nice about it. So I just say, okay, I see that you exist, that you're
Mhm.
feeling mad about this part.
Mhm.
Tell me about that real quick. Like, who are you, and what is your thing?
Mhm.
That part identified itself as the artist, which is like a more sort of artistically disheveled version of myself, in like a white coat splattered with paint. Even though I don't paint, it's not even the kind of creativity I do.
Ah.
I was just like, okay, I hear your anger, and that makes perfect sense because you want to create, and he wants to not create. Uh,
Mhm.
but I need to talk to him right now, the critic.
Mhm.
So if you would please step aside, away from the control panel,
Mhm.
into this sort of side room, waiting room. I will talk to you as well,
Yeah.
but not at the same time.
Yeah.
So that was really important.
Yeah.
And then I started in on the interview
Mhm.
with the critic.
Mhm.
Here's my list of questions.
Okay.
What is your job?
Mm.
How did you come to have this job?
Mm.
What do you think would happen if you didn't do this job?
Mm.
How old do you think I am?
Yeah.
What would you prefer to do if you didn't have to do your current job?
Mhm.
Not that I always phrase this like I rephrase the thing that they say is their purpose, and say, what if that thing were fulfilled? What if it was 100% successful, basically?
Mhm.
And then if that goes really, really well, you might be able to sort of coax more information about the exile that this protector is protecting as well.
Yeah.
So with the critic, I started in, what's your job? Uh,
Mhm.
uh, Seems kind of obvious just from the demeanor that was presented first, but this is all happening in my head. There's room for things to change
Yeah.
and, and alter themselves. So I wanted to be as broad as possible.
Yeah.
Um, he said, and as I started having this conversation, it's so weird to ask a question
Mhm.
to your own head,
Mhm.
be as still and quiet and not thinking as possible,
Mhm.
and then to get an answer. What? That happens?
So weird.
Like, again, even as a writer, as a creative person who's used to coming up with things that don't exist in my own head, that's not how I create.
Yeah.
Things don't jump into my head like that.
Yeah.
Actually, after I did these exercises, I have started a process of trying to learn to do a similar process in writing and let creative
Mhm.
ideas come to me in the same way. But honestly, it
Mhm.
doesn't work quite as well because they're not so needy.
Mhm.
um, so I asked, and I got an answer
Mhm.
uh, that this critic protects me from being misunderstood,
Mm.
specifically through bad or incomplete or thoughtless writing, but
Yeah.
really any kind of communication.
Mhm.
Um, he's got this worry that people will misunderstand my meaning,
Mm.
or just dislike what I've written. Uh,
Mhm.
I asked, like, would it matter if someone criticized the work, but they were just flat out wrong? He's like, no,
Mhm.
I don't care about that. I don't think that's a problem. I'm worried about legitimate criticism.
Mm.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was helpful, and uh,
Mhm.
to know. And I approached it with a like, oh, you want. I basically restate what they said,
Mhm.
um, and emphasize that it's really quite a service that they are doing me. Like, oh, you want to protect me from one of the things that I remember many times feeling very uncomfortable about trying to explain something complicated to someone who was just totally dismissive of it or didn't understand, or
Yeah.
started feeling a totally different way from totally misinterpreting what I thought was very clear.
Yeah.
So thank you, first of all,
Mm.
for putting an extra filter on all that,
Mhm.
to try to prevent pain, like,
Mm.
and spending so much time doing it, so much energy, like that.
Yeah.
That's such a service.
Yeah.
It goes without saying that we're having this conversation because I need you to cut it the fuck out. But like, wow, what a bold and complete service that you have been doing for many years. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Like, I
Mm.
got to emphasize the gratitude first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, as a kid, I did often feel misunderstood, and
Mm.
it made me kind of remember times that I chose not to communicate rather than try to get something complicated across, because I knew
Mm.
that it was safer.
Wow.
Be not in a huge way necessarily, but just that there was no real downside to climbing up versus the no real upside, the way I start to see it, to talking somebody's ear off about something they might not understand. I
Mm.
didn't value the upside as much as I feared or feared the downsides
Mhm.
as a child.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was very easy to be grateful to the pain that he spared me as a child.
Mm. Yeah.
Of course, this is when you ask, how old do you think I am?
Mhm.
And uh, he popped out immediately with like 16, I think was what he said.
Oh.
It's like, okay, I'm remembering being 16. I'm remembering people being pigheaded about misinterpreting me, like high
Mhm.
school.
Mhm.
I'm remembering shutting up instead of babbling.
Yeah.
And so I took that time to remind him and say, I am a 36-year-old man. I am an
Mm.
adult person with many experiences,
Yeah.
that can handle someone being pig-headed towards me or consciously misinterpreting things for me,
Mhm.
and just update this part with the life you've led and the tools you've assembled since then, and how
Mm.
the thing that's defending you from is not as big a deal anymore,
Mm.
especially compared to like how much effort they're putting into that protection.
Mm. Yeah.
um, the other bits about like what are you afraid of would happen if you didn't do your job? Well, people would
Mhm.
misinterpret you.
Mhm.
They would get angry or dismissive, or you lose out on opportunities to communicate well with people or be friends or anything like
Mhm. Mhm.
that. Makes perfect sense in its own context. And then the thing that is the great sort of arrow pointing towards healing is, if you didn't have to do this job.
Mhm.
So specifically, like I said, I like to reframe it. So
Mhm.
um, assume that people could always understand me perfectly if they were reasonable.
Mm. Mhm.
Then what would you like to do instead? How would you spend your
Mm.
time?
Mm.
And he said, well, I would love to observe your work that you do, your writing that you do, and enjoy it, and be your biggest fan.
Oh.
He has no desire to make me not write. It's
Yeah.
just anticipating pain before it comes,
Yeah.
and is trying to protect from that. But it's without that need, that perceived need, he would rather enjoy the work, and maybe use this very developed scalpel like precision to identifying potential problems to punch up the work and make it better, but
Yeah.
not stop it entirely.
Wow.
That's such a strong and friendly and cooperative statement. It's
Yeah.
lovely to hear.
Yeah. I just love that.
Yeah, so that was my big initial foray into it, just kind
Mm.
of going off of a list of interview questions I found on the internet and just raw dogging the deep recesses of my own brain, and it worked out really well. Really happy that it did.
Yeah. I no, I love it. I mean, I asked you to come and share about this because we were just talking about this randomly in like a circle of friends, and you were sharing about this work that you were doing. And I think that there's a lot of like gatekeeping around therapy and around healing, and part of this whole podcast project is that healing can look so many different ways,
Mhm.
including DIYing your therapy when you need to, right? And I think there is nothing about these tools that should be exclusive to people who have master's degrees in social work or counseling or art therapy or family and marriage counseling, right? Like there's nothing about this that needs to be gate kept. And so I love that you were just like, oh, this is an intriguing set of ideas. Let me do some individual kind of like research around how these ideas could help me. And you just dove in, and I love that, and I hope that that action might inspire folks who are listening to this episode that like you can do that too, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. It's,
yeah.
like I said at the beginning of this healing journey of mine, I the big step and probably the biggest step that I felt I could take
Mhm,
was going to see a therapist.
mhm.
And she was amazing and gave me
Yeah,
so many great tools that I still use and value so much to this day.
yeah,
And that wasn't the time to DIY things because
mm,
I really needed help right away, and I needed a lot of framework for what healing could look like that I did not have.
yeah,
But now that I have a solid framework, I can try these things that are a little more experimental, a little more specific,
yeah,
and explore the space. And
mm,
even if the specific techniques didn't end up being so helpful as they were,
mm,
just spending more time with my own mind and
yeah,
paying attention to how I think about things and
mm,
what makes me feel good or bad in more concrete in unique terms is so incredibly helpful.
yeah,
I think I mentioned this before we started recording. I
mhm,
have through I think this IFS investigation has been a big part of feeling like where I am now is not where I started. Was I need help right now. I need
yeah,
something to change. I need it to be fixed.
mm,
Uh,
mhm,
and I found a lot of healing through that, but I wasn't fixed. Obviously,
mm,
because,
yeah,
as much as there were things that were wrong, there was nothing. There's no way to go from a broken me to a fixed me. That's not
mm,
what was wrong.
mm, yeah,
Just like the guys who will react to you pointing out elements of toxic masculinity with "What do you hate men?"
yeah,
I might have said, I need to solve this depression
mm,
because I'm a broken Logan and I need to be a fixed Logan.
mm,
Too holistic of a thought, um, too broad. So
yeah,
with this practice that I went into with curiosity rather than a demand that it end up a certain way,
mm,
I found that I'd reframed that that thought of this healing experience
mhm,
as something where I replaced the idea of there being a destination at all,
mm,
just the journey,
yeah,
and making sure that each new step was the right step to take, not that it was leading me anywhere specific.
yeah,
There's no like looking having the experience to draw back on that 10 years of a little bit of fumbling but a lot of progress.
yeah,
um helped me see that there was no one place that was going to have all my answers, and that every step along the way was meaningful. And if I stopped treating it as meaningful, but tried to get the result out of it anyway, that's when it failed me. Those are the only times that it could fail me, is demanding something of it that it couldn't give, which is a total, reversal of mental illness to being a perfectly healthy, sane individual who I do not believe exists. There was a famous quote of that. I don't remember who said it, but I don't believe we've ever met a completely sane human being. Very true.
I agree. I think we all have our foibles, and we all have our, I think anyone pushed hard enough can go off the rails, right? Like, that is a thing that exists within all humans. And I also, just before we started recording, I was saying that I'm glad you shared about kind of making that shift from fully healed trademark destination, I think a lot of folks start their journey wanting that. And then at some point, I know that was true for me when I started. I was like, oh, I just have to get to this place where I'm better, right? And then I'll be okay. Somewhere along the way, I think most folks learn that it's not one singular place. It's kind of learning what pack you need and what footwear is going to be best, and the companions to have along with you that let you take the journey more gracefully. And then it becomes less about where we're going and more about how we're getting there. And so the work looks different, but it doesn't ever stop,
Yeah. And I don't know that I would have been able to explain that idea to a younger version of myself, much less any other person in the world, without having the experience to see how that journey progresses when you start on and expecting to get somewhere.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of to really help reframe it, if maybe you haven't had the experience yourself, is to say, I know, I'll say this to past me specifically. I know the idea of always being on a healing journey sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
I know that it feels like if you don't have a destination that is visible, then you may easily lack the motivation to start. But while there's no final single destination except for the one that awaits us all, there are mile markers along the way that each feel like quite a destination in and of themselves. And the best part is that there are a lot of them, not just one. That each time you find one, you get to rest and you get to set out again stronger than you were before, and see one that is further and further away and think, I can get there easy.
I love that. Y'all, Logan with the healing metaphors.
Oh yeah, I'm the metaphor guy for sure. There was one other IFS delve that I wanted to talk about specifically, because like I said at the beginning, there's all these warnings of careful about exiles. They the protectors know about your pain and try to keep it from you. The exiles are the ones that feel it.
Yeah.
That can be a lot to take on by yourself.
Yeah.
And I did wait, and I talked to more protectors, and built this muscle and took it seriously. That I'm glad that I took the time that I did, but I was a little impatient to get into something really meaty and interesting. So one day, a while after I had started this and built some more theories and read a lot more about exiles specifically, I decided to go after the black Ari core at the center of my being that had festered for most of my adult life, all of my adult life. The thing that as a child I would ruminate on for hours at a time, losing functional days to a depressed cycle of thought that had no good answers. And that was my fear of death. don't necessarily try this one at home. We've been talking up DIY stuff, and you know your limits. I don't. This is the one that I might say, legitimately, maybe don't try this at home. Only if you're really feeling it.
Yeah.
But I decided to go for it. I was really curious if I could reach it and talk to it and get something out of it. So I focused on that part, and it felt very physical. This lump right in the center of my chest, right below the rib cage. I could see it, I could visualize it, this black tumor-like thing with tendrils reaching out. If I focused on it, if I thought too much about the idea that I will die, I'm a mortal person, then I could always feel myself drifting into this black hole at the center of me. I spent a lot of time thinking about it as a kid, and eventually I kind of learned to push it down enough to not deal with it all the time, but it's been there the whole time. Really this dark and boundless pain that it's not that it was so demanding all the time necessarily, but it was always present and always ready to hurt a little, to just suck any concept of healing into its black hole event horizon, because what can you possibly do against the fear of death? You are going to die. What can you possibly hope to accomplish? So I started with this, and I focused on that feeling, which is a thing that I had not done for a long time. It reminded me of those days as a kid, of just being stuck in that feeling and ruminating on it over and over again. So in that sense, it was very easy to bring up, even though I had developed such strong boundaries against it. I did the same thing I did with my other parts. I concentrated on feeling, contacted it. I said, I want to talk to the part of myself that fears death, and felt that presence bubbling up. And I said, who are you? And from the smoke, this form of black against black background, so much darker than the black behind it that I could tell what its shape it was, rose out of this very smoke and ashes of my own mind, and said in a deep and booming voice that I am death.
Wow.
I guessed that. Let's talk. I had gone to find an article talking about thanatophobia, fear of death, phobia of death, which is more I didn't necessarily think of this as a phobia necessarily, but I figured that was a good place to start. And so I read about thanatophobia. What is exactly the thing that you're afraid of in terms of death? Is it the unknown that will occur after you die? And I addressed that question to death. Said, is that the scary part about death? And I got the answer back, no, it's not the unknown. And I felt that resonate in myself with other parts as well, being like, yeah, that curiosity. We if there's anything to experience, I'm so curious. If there's not, then it doesn't really make sense to be afraid of it, because it will be nothingness. Not that there's no anxiety behind it, non-existence, but that's not that definitely wasn't the source of the pain. I was like, okay, what about actual pain of actual fear of actual pain, pain of dying, the loss of dignity of having a disease as it takes your life, that kind of thing. About that, I'm well, those all sound unpleasant, but no, it's not that either. Honestly, it's not that those aren't unpleasant in their own way, but it just didn't match the feeling that I was addressing. The last one of the thanatophobia list, what about abandoning your loved ones? The fact that they'll be alone without you. So I took a little time to imagine I'm dead. There's a funeral happening for me. My family is there. I was able to think of it in positive terms, in terms of these are the people that I love. I've touched their lives. I know I will continue to do so after I die. Even if it were to be premature, it would still be meaningful. They would value my memory, and taking it with them would improve their lives in a way, in ways. And so I thought, no, that it would be very sad not to be around for as much of their lives as I want to be. But no, that's not the source of it either. Okay, well, that's a lot of that's the thanatophobia things. We're running out of things to be afraid of death about. What is it? What is it that we're afraid of about death? And with those out of the way, that gave me enough of a framework to focus more in on the feeling by discounting what it wasn't, a little smaller. And at this point, I was spending some time visualizing these scenarios, being in a coffin, watching my funeral kind of thing. So when I came back to viewing this part of myself, I noticed it had gotten much smaller. And I continued thinking, what is this fear connected to? What is it saying to me? The answer that I got was not in this dramatic cartoon death booming voice, but a much smaller voice saying, I don't know what to do. And I thought, that's not an answer to my question, I don't think. What do you mean you don't know what to do? In what context? And in a voice that was unmistakably my own as a child, I replied back, I don't know what is right. I was like, that's definitely an answer to my question, but I'm not sure how. Think about that for a second. And the smoke kind of curled away and disappeared. And I saw the young version of myself. I realized, I'm not afraid of any one part of dying or being dead. This feeling is telling me it's very important to do the right thing in life, to do well, to do good by others, to just live right, whatever that means, but unfortunately, without knowing what that means. And death is only the timer. It wouldn't matter if I was going to live an infinite existence, because I would eventually do some of the right things. But since there is this timer, there was this sensation as a child that I needed to hurry and start doing the right things now, because it'll run out. The experience of taking this black pit at the heart of me that I have carried for the entirety of my conscious existence, basically, and diminishing it to a very moral, very loving child, was immediately one of the biggest reliefs I have ever felt in my entire life. But more than that, as soon as I got that response, I said, I've been working on that question this whole time. I have been asking myself what is right, and viewing people that I love that live well, and finding examples that are very wrong and noting those. And all of these things, I have a lot of experience. I don't even need to ask you how old you think I am, because I'm looking at him. And so I imagined reaching out, taking his hand, and said, let me show you what I've been doing, what I've learned, the tools that I have, the strength that I have to deal with this question. In the process of bringing that young version of myself forward, I try to start as close to that time as I can remember. And there were things that I remembered in such vivid clarity about my younger life, my late middle school and high school through college, things that I did not know I remembered.
Wow.
I went through them with this part of myself with such depth and clarity that I felt like I picked up a half dozen full versions of myself that had gotten left behind over time. Just such a life lived already. Even without solving the problem, just having the problem was such a big, exciting, wonderful life already. And so many tools and lessons for this part of myself.
Yeah.
I felt it gravitating towards fun and making people laugh with improv and being creative and being joyful.
Yeah.
I realized that as we said, the no bad parts, the naturally useful, beautiful part of this work of this part is this is my joy.
Mm.
What I thought of as terror at the core of me was actually my most childlike joy.
Wow.
And I told it, I have these other parts that are very focused on stuff like this, of checking in when it's time to make sure that we're doing the right thing, that
Mm.
of examining the world around me for understanding good and bad, and what is right to do in any particular situation. This this is not your job,
Oh.
and it doesn't have to go undone if you stop doing it either. People will take care of it.
Mhm.
You can let that go if you like.
Mm.
And there's a big whole ritual around it in IFS of like helping your exiles kind of gather up their burdens and release them.
Mm.
That, you don't have to if it's not time, but you can if you want.
Yeah.
Said absolutely, definitely yes, because I see really clearly that I'm not really helping even do it. Like it'll actually be better if I give it to somebody who's better at it.
Mm.
So absolutely fantastic. And in this sort of ritualized version of it, they talk about in some of the IFS books, might ask them to sort of give it up to fire or earth or water,
Mm.
burn it or bury it or let it drift away and disintegrate into ash or something like that. And so I was like, okay, these sound really dramatic, and I am nothing internally if not dramatic. So little joyful me, how would you like to get rid of this horrible darkness?
Mm.
Well, best way to get rid of darkness is light. So I focused on that fear, that feeling that had been with me for so long. That dark pit was the scythe, the huge city reaping scythe of death. And I thought about that and reaching for it, and I kind of closed my fist around nothing and opened it up, and there was this tiny little Lego scythe.
Oh.
It was almost nothing. Just a good boy. Gave it to him, and he just exploded into life. And it can't be this easy every time, and it can't be as big every time, but this dark core that I've felt my whole life exploded with gold.
Mm.
From this black jagged thing went to this golden core with tendrils going all the same places, but brilliant and bringing warmth and safety along with them, and just excitement and joy for everything. And that has stuck
Mm.
well. I was really ready to come back and say, all right, we'll do most of this again,
Mm.
and slowly chip away at it. It was ready to go.
Wow.
And so to this day, if I need to cheer myself up, I just close my eyes and say, one day I'm going to die.
Mm.
And giggle to myself and connect with this super highway that I've built to the core of joy at the center of my body.
Oh, Logan, I love that. There's a really beautiful image.
It's stuck with me. That's been the sort of one of the biggest things that I've fully reversed in myself. And that's the thing that I've loved about doing IFS work, is that not only do you prevent part of yourself from hurting you, but you're also putting it back on track as to doing what it's best at, what it's wonderful at, and loves to do for you.
Yeah.
It's an incredible feeling. It's changed a lot about my day-to-day life.
Wow.
And you can too. If you're careful and ready.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the reparenting my inner little ones has been one of the most useful tools that I learned in therapy, and like consistently used to this day.
There's these old systems that have been there a long time and have been separate from other things, and I think you can get a lot of relief really quite quickly by learning how to reattach them to the parts of your brain that you do use every day. And there's a lot of little things left over that, even though they are nowhere near the drama of that big push, still give me trouble and ruin days at a time. And I'll have depressions and I'll have good times and I'll have sickness where it's harder to focus on my own health, my own mental health, because my body is not up to the task. And life is no longer is not did not suddenly become perfect from doing that. But that was one of the big, when I was talking about milestones earlier, one of the premier milestones in this healing journey. Incredible scenic lookout on the hike that is this journey.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Just sit how nice that is for a second.
Yeah. That also feels like a really good spot to begin our wrap-up process.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
Just that what I'm working on now is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And I think these two practices, that and CBT and IFS, have a lot of similarities, and in terms of taking emotions that you don't quite understand and learning to spend time with them, understand them in terms of words. And once they become words, you can talk to them. Words are my friends. I am a very word and communication based person. So when I do these exercises, once I can turn thoughts into words, I've got them. They're mine. They're in my realm now. But other people might have different strengths in that case, and these very visual metaphors might be more your speed, or they might stay emotions, and just dealing with them as emotions can be fine too. And there's all sorts of ways to address these thoughts. The goal is just to understand them better, not take them at face value and let them tell you what to feel, but to just let you know what you're observing, and you decide what that means.
Yeah.
You decide if getting negative feedback means that you're going to get fired from your job and that you've never been good at anything in your life, or if it means that you made a small mistake and here's how to fix it and never do it again or worry about it for another second. You have the power to change that habit. As simple as it sounds, it's not easy by any means, but it's doable, and it's so worth it.
We'll end on that good word with Logan Williams. Y'all, thanks so much for listening today. Logan, thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom with us. I love this conversation.
I love it too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is the best.
You're the best.
Oh, thank you.
She really is.
This is Sponsorship Ellen. Today's episode is sponsored by me. I have a new offer that I'm really excited to share with you. The Inner Child Toolbox is a structured 6-session coaching container. It's for you if you're feeling stuck, especially if you've been on a healing journey or a therapy journey for a while. It's for you if you have reactions that don't make sense, or you feel like feel disproportionate to what has happened. If you feel like your feelings are too big or too strong, or if you want to try inner child work before making an investment in an IFS therapist. Through 6 focused 1-hour meetings, we will map out your core wounds and how they connect to your inner child. We'll learn some metaphors for understanding inner child work. We'll practice strategies for communicating with, negotiating with, and soothing your inner child. We'll create a plan for how to continue your work on your own. I'll also be available for text or voice memo coaching Mondays through Thursdays to help you navigate inner child triggers in the moment. From the Inner Child Toolbox, you'll get a better understanding of your internal life and why you react to things the way you do. You'll get a toolkit of strategies and practices that will help you navigate triggering situations with compassion, calm, and clarity. And you'll get a plan for continuing this work so that you can feel confident in your continued growth. Because this is a brand new offer, I'm going to be offering a 50% discount for the first person who registers and a 25% discount to the second person who registers. And if you'd like to learn more, including all of that fun logistical info and to get on the calendar for the first step, you can head to my website at the link in the description. Hello, this is Outro Ellen. Thanks so much for listening today. If you're interested in hearing more healing stories, please subscribe on the platform where you're listening or join my newsletter, Find Your Fierce, on Substack. If you subscribe on Substack, you'll get an email every time I publish an episode, so you'll never miss one. The link to Substack is in the episode description. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can head over to Find Your Fierce and join as a monthly, annual, or founding subscriber. Paid subscribers make it possible for these stories to be shared far and wide, and you'll get access to bonus letters, episodes, and events that are just for subscribers. If you want to go above and beyond, please leave us a rating or a review on the platform where you're listening, or share this episode with a friend, frenemy, lover, family member, boss, colleague, or someone who needs it. I'm sending you the love and peace you need to be your best self today and every day. Audio hugs. Bye.